marketing, explosive growth, and revolutionary secrets that can catapult your business to new heights. You're now listening to the Underground Marketer Podcast with your host, Tudor Dumitrescu, the one podcast devoted to showing new businesses how to market themselves for high growth.
Welcome to the Underground Marketer. This is the place where we deliver the real truth about marketing and explore big ideas that can help new businesses thrive and grow into big ones. I'm your host, Tudor, and today I want to discuss about sales, and more specifically, I want to discuss the concept that sales is a numbers game. So the reason why I'm choosing this topic is because recently a lot of people have been complaining to me about their problems with getting clients. And these are typically people who run some sort of service business, and they've complained about how difficult it is to actually find clients and convert them into, paying customers. So the mistake that a lot of these people make is that they're too concerned about the effectiveness of their sales outreach, and they really worry about every little detail inside it. Is this the right person to connect with? All the time they're trying to make and to take so many small decisions that it just confuses them. It takes a lot of cognitive power. It makes them lose their motivation, and they just can't keep going. And what they're not realizing is that it's not about what they say to the customer so much as it's about having more conversations with people. They're talking, let's say, to one person per day, and they're worried that their sales activity is not working out. Well, talking with one person a day, of course, it's not surprising that it's not working out. It's not surprising that you're not getting the results that you want. And it's not surprising that you're not motivated. If I was speaking with one person a day, and that conversation didn't go well, day after day after day, I would also get demotivated. Who wouldn't? It's normal to get demotivated because it looks like it's not working out, right? You're not getting any sort of feedback loop started. So if you don't think of sales as a numbers game, and instead you adopt the mindset that it's about the quality of your outreach and what you're telling them and finding the right words or whatever, you're going to have the wrong mindset, and it's going to take you down a path where you don't really have a feedback loop going, and you start getting depressed. And every day it's harder and harder to maintain your sales activity. And when that happens, it's not going to be long till you're actually going to give up and stop that, right? It's only normal, and it's only human that you feel like that. So the biggest problem of not having enough conversations in a day is that you have no feedback loop, and that's the source of your problems. And it also means that you don't really understand what's working, what's not working, what you should be improving, what you could improve, and you spend a lot of time overthinking, thinking against yourself, questioning your own decisions, questioning your own sales scripts, and really not getting anywhere. So if you find that this is you, and you're getting in your own way when you're trying to do it, because a lot of people, when they start with sales, they try to do it manually, right? If you consider the way entrepreneurs, when they're first starting their business, let's say that they have a marketing agency, right? And they're doing their outreach manually. They're, let's say, Googling people around them, emailing them, cold calling them, whatever. And they're doing that whole process manually. What ends up happening is that they experience a whole lot of differences throughout the way between one customer and the next. And they start creating ideas that aren't really relevant in their mind, and they lose track of what's actually important, which is hitting that line and calling on one more person, one after the other, after the other, after the other. If you compare this entrepreneur type with the guy who goes on a sales organization, what's the difference? The guy in the sales organization, his phone rings on autopilot. He doesn't even get a chance to think, who should I call next? Maybe this guy is not right to call. No, it just goes. The phone rings, the guy answers, he has to talk. And if he fucks up and he messes up, well, too bad. It's the next one and the next one and the next one. And that's the attitude you have to adopt. Why do you think they're doing that in sales organizations? Because they know that people overthink stuff. They know that people are not going to do it if you leave it up to them. That's why they make the phone ring by itself. And the phone rings and the person just has to speak. They don't have to think what they're going to say every time. They have a script, it's in front of them. They can read off that script or they can go off the script if they want, but they have that as a fallback. If they don't know what to say, they go back to the script. So what if they mess up, and the customer screams at them or whatever it is? It doesn't matter, right? And it's the same thing for email marketing, for those who do cold email. It's the same for those who do outreach via social media and so on. You gotta hit that line over and over and over again and build a process out of it. And it's about hitting those numbers. That's really what it is about. Because let me put it like that. Let's say that I have a closing ratio of 5%, right? I convert, let's say 5% of the people that I speak with to customers, and you convert 5 times as much. You convert 25%, right? But you speak with one person a day and I speak with 20 a day. Who's going to win out? Who's going to make more sales? I'm going to do it, right? Because I have the bigger volume. So instead of focusing so much, and every new entrepreneur and all the sales book that you read and all of that is about improving the effectiveness or the quality of your sales calls. It's not about improving the quantity. And you need to focus on improving the quantity because that's where most of the gains are. Most of the gains, they're not in improving your effectiveness by 5%. That's not a realistically meaningful gain. You need to chase the bigger gains. And in order for you to chase the bigger gains, you need to chase quantity. You need to ask yourself, how can I speak with 10 times as many people as I do in a day? How can I get my email out to 10 times more people? How can I call on 10 times more people? Those are the questions where you can make and you can actually see tremendous differences in your sales productivity. And again, because you're not working in a sales organization, you don't get to learn about this. And this is the type of stuff that sales organizations do from the start. Yeah, they do training every now and then, but their process is focused on maximizing the number of calls because they know statistically that even if you're a bad salesperson, you're still going to close some people. If you just speak with enough of them, you're still going to close some of them. It's very important for you to realize as an entrepreneur because there's nobody sitting with a stick behind you making sure that you're actually doing your sales activity. There's nobody. And maybe you're somebody who is shy and you have some anxiety, so, you don't really have much motivation to do it either. And if that's you, what you need to do is that you need to basically get out of your own way. And you do that by removing yourself from the process as much as possible. So, email, right? You have tools like Mailshake. You can hire a VA for less than $5 an hour off Upwork to find your email lists of the right kind of people. You can tell him exactly how you Google search for them, exactly who to look for, how to get the email addresses, send him a Loom video showing how you do it and he will know how to do it, and then set him off and get him to do it. You can even tell him, look, I don't want info ad emails, office ad emails, whatever your process ends up being. So once you do that, you've removed yourself from having to prospect, from having to search for customers. And that's good, because if you're the kind of guy who's not motivated to do that, or maybe it gets you anxious or whatever, you're a drag on the process. So if you can remove yourself from the process, do it and replace yourself with an automated solution. Further down the line, you have software like Mailshake that you can use to automate sending your emails. Why don't you use it? So use it, and then you just have to plug in your templates, literally, upload your email list that you get from the guy who gets them for you, and the emails sent by themselves. All you have to do is deal with replies. When you have a reply, the sequence is going to stop in Mailshake and you're going to have to take over from there. So you've removed yourself from the volume generating part of the process, and you're just at the end of the process now where you have to schedule calls with people, reply to their emails and whatnot. But this is very helpful. If you remove yourself from the process, you get out of your own way, you can hit bigger numbers, and it doesn't depend on you anymore. And it's the smart thing to do. It's how you can actually scale out your sales process. And let's say that you're not doing email, right? You're doing social media. Well, you have software like DuckSoup or LinkedIn Helper for LinkedIn. You have a software that's called Pepper for Facebook. These are softwares that, again, are going to find the people that you want automatically. You don't have to do anything. For example, on Facebook, you go on a group and you just tell it, add members of this group as friend request them. And if they accept the request, send them this message. Wait 2 days, send them that message. Do this, do this, do this. And you create your whole sequence in advance and you just hit the numbers after that. You don't have to do anything. You just wake up. You handle just people who reply. You try to get them on a call with you. And that's pretty much it. That's how you're generating leads. You now have a sales system that doesn't depend on you. Because again, if you're the kind of person who gets anxiety about this or who doesn't like it, frankly, I'm such a person, I don't like this, then you have to rely on your system. You can't rely on yourself. The same thing you can do on LinkedIn, the same thing you can do on other social media channels as well. So research for the softwares that you need and use them and create the outreach, create the messages, create the sequences that people are going to get, aim to get a reply from them, take the conversation from there and try to get them on a call and then finally sell them on your service. And if you're working just on the back end of your funnel and you're not, because here's the thing, most people, they're not anxious, or they're not so anxious, I should say, about speaking with somebody so much as they're anxious about initiating contact with somebody who's cold. If the system does it for you, there's no anxiety. You just speak with people who already want to speak with you because they've replied to you. The anxiety is much less. You've created a system that makes sales into a numbers game for you, and you just have to keep hitting that line. You just have to keep replying to them, be on time on them, stay on top of it, and that's pretty much it. That's how I recommend that you approach sales. Again, it's removing yourself out of the process as much as possible. If you're doing cold calling, try to look for an app that you put in the list of people and then it just calls one after the other, so that you don't have time to think, you don't have time to question yourself, you don't have time to think, oh, maybe this is not the right person, oh, maybe his website is not the kind of business I'm looking for or whatever. If you've decided on the criteria and you follow that criteria, you've got to call everyone and you've got to see what's up. And of course, over time, you're going to focus on improving those systems. So you don't just hit the big numbers, but you hit more meaningful numbers. Maybe you're going to identify that a certain segment of the people that you're reaching out to isn't really useful to your business. Well, if that's the case, you're going to end up replacing them and targeting more of the ones who convert better. But that's the sort of stuff that's going to happen in the long run, and over time. For you, the most important thing is to remember that sales is ultimately a numbers game. And this means that you're going to get much better results by focusing on improving your volume than by focusing on improving your quality. Remember that even if you're a bad salesperson, you're still going to close some people. All right? And if you just speak with enough people and have enough conversations, you're going to get some of them to give you money, even if you're bad. By doing that, you can already get some revenue, you can get some feedback loop going, and you're going to feel better about it. And you're going to actually become better as a salesperson, and you're going to be more effective when it comes to your outreach. By getting more feedback, you also get more insight into what's working and what's not. When you're speaking with one person a day, it's very hard to get any sort of meaningful feedback. Because whatever feedback you're getting, right, you don't know if it means anything. The numbers are too small, and it actually deceives you. Because there's a lot of variance. If you hit small numbers every day, there's a lot of variance. So you get mistaken ideas about what's working and what's not working. Maybe just by luck, an approach worked with the first 2 people and then doesn't work for the next 300. And you have no way of knowing this quickly enough if you just go day by day. what happens is you go the first 2 days and you suddenly now you get the mistaken idea, wow, this approach is great. And you end up sticking with it for a very long time. And you're asking yourself, oh, why is it not working anymore? And other such questions which you wouldn't ask yourself if you had just gone big volume from the get-go. You got a lot of feedback on that approach and a lot of numbers that you can actually use to improve the approach. So once you turn sales from game of quality and whoever is the more persuasive guy and whatnot into a numbers game, then suddenly it's sort of an even playing field and you can make it work even if you're shy and even if you're anxious. Because again, if you have those drawbacks, it's about removing yourself as much as possible from the process so that you minimize the effect on the process of your weaknesses, right? So, I mean, if reaching out to people cold is a weakness for you, try to eliminate that as much as possible. Try to automate as many steps of the process as possible so that when it comes to actually doing it, you don't need a lot of your willpower and motivation and whatnot to do it. You just wake up and you see that, oh my God, 3 clients have responded to my email. I have to write them back something, right? That's much easier than waking up and being like, oh man, I need to write another 10 emails today and send them. I need to find who to send them to. Oh my God, so hard. How am I going to do this? Right? Don't be like that. And there's no reason to be like that. You know, when you can build a system that's going to take care of your weaknesses. And these days you have software that can help you. You know, it's very easy to create a system nowadays. Back 10, maybe even 15 years ago, it was damn hard to create a system to help you with your selling. But now it's easy. You know, now anyone can do it. And that's the second part of this. You know, you have to start, instead of asking yourself questions like, what sales book should I read next? And any sales book that you read is going to help you improve your quality, right? You've probably already, you know, if you're the entrepreneur type, you've probably already read a lot of sales books. The percentage improvement that you can get from extra training is very small. Maybe you can improve 5, 10, maybe even 20%. But the extra improvement that you can get from bigger volume is huge. You can probably double your effectiveness just by doubling your volume, you know, and you can double your volume by being smarter about it. But you can't double your quality of sales very easily. You know, it's going to take you very long and a lot of reading and a lot of practicing to double your quality in terms of sales. But doubling your volume, that's much easier to do, right? It doesn't take anything except setting up the correct systems very often. So ask yourself the question and try to figure it out, brainstorm on it. Ask the question, how can I reach out to 2 times as many people as I do currently? You know, whatever your system is, maybe you're already using software to reach out to people. So ask yourself, how can I reach out to twice the number of people on LinkedIn? Maybe you're already reaching out to people on LinkedIn and you're doing it with one single profile and you've maxed out the limits per day that you can connect with people and whatnot. You've maxed out the number. But ask yourself the question, how could I reach out to 2 times the people? Because once you start asking yourself the question, you're going to consider different options. Oh, maybe I can hire a VA who is going to use a separate profile and is going to install my system on it. And then I just have to handle those conversations. There's an idea. You know, now I can reach out to twice more people. In fact, I can reach out to 10 times more people if I want to, right? And once you start asking yourself how you can expand your volume and how you can increase your volume, you get into the mindset that sales is a numbers game. And it's a mindset. And this mindset is a lot more powerful and a lot more effective than the mindset that, oh, let me be more persuasive, more charming or whatever. It's a lot more effective than that mindset. And you're going to see huge gains in your business once you apply this mindset. So remember the key lessons that we went over here. So sales is a mindset, is a numbers game. And this fact is a mindset. You need to adopt the mindset that sales is a numbers game. Remember that if you focus so much on quality of your sales outreach, there's only so much that you can improve in terms of quality, and it takes a long time. But everyone can improve the quantity of their sales outreach, the number of people they speak with per day. And by improving that, they're going to massively improve the number of sales, a lot more than they would by focusing on improving their sales skills, which takes a lot of time and is slow. Remember that if you're not hitting a large volume of people per day, you also don't have a feedback loop, which means that you're more likely to get depressed, more likely to get demotivated, more likely to give up, and obviously more likely to overthink yourself. And finally, remember that if you're the kind of person who gets anxious doing sales, or maybe you don't like it, you don't have to actually do the whole process. You can remove yourself from the process as much as possible by automating it, using software or maybe other people sometimes to take over the process from you so that you don't have to do it and you just handle people at the end of your sales funnel. You no longer have to handle people cold, right? You handle just people who already respond to you. And that can be a lot more helpful. So that's pretty much what I wanted to share with you for today. So remember, stay tuned for the next episode. And until next time, keep growing your businesses and providing massive value to the world. Remember, you are the reason why we're all growing richer, our freedoms are expanding, and we're all living in greater prosperity. Thank you.